Hello, everyone. I'm so excited to have you guys tonight. This is my 80,000 subscriber celebration. And I know a lot of people are here early, which is good. I already have a question in the chat. So go ahead and start putting your questions in there because, again, this is Ask Me Anything. So let me just adjust a little bit. Move this over. You can see that I need paper clips. I don't think that's a big deal. But all right, so I'm really excited tonight. Again, we're celebrating my 80,000 subscribers. I think we're up to 81,000. If you're new here, you're not subscribed, make sure you hit the subscribe button, the like button. We're gonna get right into it relatively quickly. So I'm gonna add some things if we have some dead time. I know it's Thanksgiving week and we're gonna be around a lot of family this week. And so I'm going to talk about some things I think you should discuss as a family in regards to home ownership. Hello, everyone. Thank you so much, Paula and Nikki. And I thank you so much for supporting my channel. So go ahead and put your questions in the comments or in the chat so I can see them. So, and I'm going to get right into it. Okay, I was going to start with my hair because a lot of people comment on my hair. And sometimes it's looking better than other days. Just know that I have 2 young children. So if I can't make it to get it done, I got to do it myself. So, but I will in this video, those of you who are new here, used to be a teacher and I taught for at least 13, almost 14 years in high school. I taught high school business. And my student who does my hair, one of my former students, she's in her 20s now, upper 20s, but she's one of my former students. She has her own business. So I'm going to put that. I can't put it right now, I don't think, but I'm going to put it in the comments to this video so it can kind of stay in the description. If anybody's in Atlanta and is interested in getting their hair done, I pretty much keep it in a bob. Right now it's growing out a little bit. But yeah, so if you're wondering who does my hair, her name is Morgan Foster. You can find her on Instagram. I don't know what the name, but I'm going to put all of that, I promise, in the description. Morgan Foster, and she's really good. Okay, so all right, I'm going to go back up and I'm going to start with this question. Okay, Annette, thank you for getting here early. That's great. So it says, why is it that loan officers scrutinize minutely everything, especially if a party is self-employed or one person self-employed? It's because, and I'm self-employed, so I understand this. I have a sister that's an attorney. So if sometimes I talk like I'm a lawyer, that's probably why. And we're both self-employed. And as you know, if you're a self-employed individual, your income, it's not always consistent. Versus a W-2 employee can say, I'm going to make $100,000 every year. That's what I'm salaried to make. As a self-employed individual, your income will vary. And then what some, self-employed people do, because they have this advantage, is to do a lot of deductions. They can deduct all of their expenses and that sort of thing. So they're not really sure what your true income is. They're looking at your tax return. You might be making a lot of money, and maybe you're being advised by your tax attorney not, to claim everything, make sure you're not making that much. You don't pay that many taxes. So then they're trying to say, okay, what's your accurate income? And that's why it's difficult. You're asking, why is it difficult? Why do they scrutinize it so much? They want to make sure that you're not going to be at risk of possibly your income decreasing and you not being able to pay this mortgage. So that's why they're scrutinizing everything very closely. They're probably going to want profit and loss statements. They're going to want tax returns, bank statements, of course. Some lenders do have bank statement loans. Well, they'll allow you just to get approved with your bank statements, but you usually have to have a higher down payment and a really good credit score. But that's the answer to your question. I hope that helps. But just get through the process. Make sure you're working with a lender that works with self-employed people and that has some experience there, because if they've never done, self-employed before, they may be giving you more difficulty than is needed. You want to make sure you're using somebody that has some expertise in that area. All right, so I hope that answered your question. Let me see. If there's any other good questions, ask me anything. Just went under contract in Florida, Tampa Bay Realtor. Congratulations. I know it's hard in this market right now, and hopefully that in most markets, and put that in the comments. Is your market getting better where you are? If your market is getting better where you are, tell me that as well. How do you apply for homestead exemption? In Atlanta or in Georgia, you go to your county tax commissioner or tax assessor's office, either one. They generally have it on their website as well. So wherever you live, you want to put in, tax exemption with your state, and then you should be able to, I'm trying to get this off of the screen now. You should be able to get that. So you should be able to get your tax exemption. The same people that tax you, that's where you need to go for your exemption. That's probably regardless of whatever state you live in. Whoever's sending you your tax bill or whoever you paid your taxes to at closing, that sort of thing. Typically, whoever's collecting your tax is going to give you that exemption. So you should go there. If you're not sure, ask your closing attorney or title company or ask your real estate agent. They should know. All righty, let me see. Thank you, Paula. Hi, everyone. Mortgage protection insurance companies. Let me ask you this question. Are there any legitimate mortgage protection insurance companies? Probably. And if you're talking about mortgage protection, is that basically if you pass away early, they'll pay your mortgage or they'll pay the mortgage off, like for your family? There probably are legitimate ones. However, the cost associated with them is usually not worth it. You're better getting a life insurance, like a term life insurance policy that will cover the mortgage payoff instead. Because, what they're going to charge you, you can basically get insurance that'll cover even more than probably your mortgage. So while there may be some legitimate companies, you really want to, look at your whole estate and see if you're covered that way, just to get a good, life insurance policy that will cover the mortgage payoff. Because what if your family doesn't want to pay off the mortgage? Maybe they're going to sell the house and do something else with the money. So, you give them that option. All right. Hey, lady, glad I'm talking. You caught me too. Thank you, Paula. Are you taking any new clients? Good question. Let's get this one out of the way. All right. So I've decided going into 2022, and I am having some transition issues, to be honest with you. I'm not trying to take as many new clients. I'm really trying to take one client at a time just for, content purposes for the most part, and really work on content. Because what I have learned, in this first year, last 2 years have really been amazing for me, that doing both, like running all with clients, especially the clients that I serve first-time buyers. I don't serve luxury clients. So they're generally under 500,000 in Atlanta, anywhere from 150,000 to 500,000. That's the hardest part of the market right now. And I'm trying to do YouTube videos and TikTok videos and all of that. I really need to focus on content. But what I'm doing is coming out in 2022 with endorsed local agents, because a lot of you guys ask me about referrals for Texas and California and, Delaware, different places. And I want to be able to put that together to know that there's different people in those states that you can trust. Not just in Atlanta, but then in all these states that you can really trust. So excellent question. It may change in 2023, but just in the life that I have, I really want to make sure I have some balance with my family, with my husband, with my kids. And it was like a lot right now. So that's what I've decided to do. I'm going to focus. You should see more content from me, but I will have a link in the description of this video if you need a referral for your city. All right. Thank you so much for asking that question. How can I find a lender that conforms to Freddie Mac? Let me answer this question. All right. How can I find a lender that conforms to Freddie Mac? Because my student loans, I need a Freddie Mac conforming loan. Usually, so there's Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac for conventional. Fannie Mae, Freddie Mac, they do conventional loans. Usually smaller lenders and credit unions, maybe credit unions, but smaller lenders usually are Freddie Mac, and this is not all across the board, and larger lenders are typically Fannie Mae. So number one, you're gonna have to ask. So if you have an agent already, I want you to have them give you, like when I have a new client, I give them a list of lenders. I don't say, go use this person. I give them a list of like 6 different lenders and what they specialize in. And then I tell them to go get their quotes or use whoever you want to use. So if they give you a list, you want to just send them a quick email. Are you guys backed by Fannie Mae or Freddie Mac? Fannie Mae or Freddie Mac? Fannie Mae. And then if not, say they're all Fannie Mae, ask them, do you have a referral for a Freddie Mac lender? Do you have a referral? Because lenders know lenders, right? So that could help you get a lender. I hope that was helpful, Carlithia. Thank you for asking. My first live. Hey, how you doing, TJ? Oh, I have a super chat. Let's see what this is. What are you talking about? Okay, Paige Booker. Let me see if I can put you up, Paige. Hold on 1 second. I don't know how to put you up. Let's put you right there. All right, so, and hopefully y'all can see that. Our offers are countered. This is Paige, but don't always feel like our realtor is working in our best interest. It feels more like serving seller's interest. When do we move on to another agent or stick it out? This is an excellent question. Excellent question. And I think this is okay. So if you're a first-time home buyer in this market, because it's a seller's market, you need to see, is your seller just trying to get your offer approved, which it is very difficult depending on where you are in the market and what you're approved for. They're going to have to, the seller has all the control. So they can't come in, oh, I want this for my buyer, I want this for your buyer. They might throw your offer in the trash, right? So you can't come in, well, my buyer needs this and this and this, when there might be 30 other offers. Your agent is really trying to say, in this market, I need your offer to stand out. I'll give you an example. We go into a house is great, but maybe there's a stain on the carpet. I wouldn't come in saying in my offer and sell it to fix stain and carpet, okay? Especially if it's in a multiple offer situation, okay? Because those little things can have my buyer's offer not considered. I'm going to put in the strongest offer, and I'm going to tell you ahead of time, this is what I'm doing. This is why I'm doing it in putting in the offer. And I started this at the very beginning page, having a buyer market consultation before I take you on as a client. I need you to understand the market so you don't think I'm not doing things in your best interest. I'm going to tell you what kind of offer I'm going to put in. I'm going to tell you, I have a video for this. I have a sheet that says, these are some low risk things we can do. These are some medium risk things we can do. And these are some like higher risk things we can do. But it's going to depend on how bad do you want this house? Do we need to go to the low risk? Because on the house, we need to go to the medium or the high. And that's going to, you're going to run which way you want to go with your offer. However, just know that if I want you to go back, you asked me a question, should we stick it out? I want you to go back to your agent and say, what challenges are we going to face? Or maybe we're doing down payment assistance. Maybe we don't have, our closing costs. Maybe we're not willing to go over appraised value. These are the challenges, you may have in an offer, and ask them, well, how can we get over those challenges? And what do you recommend? So then it's not like, well, you're not advocating for us. She's just trying to get your offer accepted, more than likely. And I'm kind of advocating for the agent. More than likely, she's trying to get your offer accepted in a competitive market. And another thing that I do with my clients, because you're first-time home buyers, you don't know if I'm for you or against you. The only reason you know I'm for you usually because you watch my videos. But if your offer is not accepted, I always go back to the listing agent if they're willing to share and say, what offer did you accept? And then I share that with my buyer and say, look, you were FHA. You were FHA. You didn't offer anything for the appraisal gap. You came in like this. This is what they accepted. And sometimes what they accepted is far and beyond how far my buyer was willing to go. And then it kind of clicks to them and says, oh, that's what the market is. This is how competitive other people are being. But if you feel like, people are countering you and you're not coming hard enough, y'all just have to get on the same page. And then I would say, then they probably are advocating for you. If you don't feel like they are, you can find another agent. I have a video on my channel, says how to hire and fire the right way, how you can hire and fire your agent. And it's very simple. You just send them an email saying that I want to terminate our contract. And then, you're out of your contract. Just keep that email for the most part. But watch that video. All right, have another super chat. Thank you. You don't have a question, so that's good. Thank you so much. I appreciate it. Let me go back, and Paige, I hope to answer your question. Let me go back through my list. And just so I'm going to get to as many questions as possible. However, if there's a super chat, it kind of pops up at me, so I'll answer it first. But I am going to get through your list. Hi, let me see. Nika, how are you? I didn't want to pronounce your name wrong, but hi, and thank you for taking my course. I do appreciate it. I already answered that. What does this say? Catherine, would you be interested in an interview with Black Ssdi magazine? I don't know what Ssdi stand for, but I would love to speak with you more on this. How can I contact you? In my About You section, I have an email address. I think it's info@Hill Team Atlanta. If you email me there, I will consider it. Yes. What does this say? It says, how quickly after you purchase a vehicle is it wise to purchase a home? I just bought a new car. House will be next. So, Crystal, okay. So, I don't hate new cars, but I'd rather people buy a house than a car just because, your car is a depreciating asset, right? And you don't know because maybe you didn't do your DTI calculation if that car is going to stop you from being able to buy the house that you want. So I want your next thing to do is calculate your DTI ratio. That stands for debt to income ratio. And I have a video saying, can you afford a house? I want you to calculate your DTI ratio with the new car payment and then see where you are. And then, do you have to pay that car off? There's no waiting period between the car and the house. There's no waiting period. It's just, what are you able to afford now that you have this car payment? So you just want to be able to think about that. So there's no time. There's no, I want you to set your budget, look at your DTI ratio, and see if it makes sense to purchase a house now. All righty. What is the best affordable program for fixed income Ssdi with 6? Okay. So you're asking me a very specific question, but it really depends on your income, your debt to income ratio. But I have multiple videos on mortgages, types of mortgages, and then I have on down payment assistance. So it's not necessarily what's the best program. I have a 670 with Social Security, but how much are you getting? I also have a video, can you afford a house on Social Security? So this is going to be Tisha writing. It's going to be a difficult question for me to answer without knowing what your income is, what your debt to income ratio is. Don't put all that in the comments, but it's a difficult question to answer. But I would have you watch those 2 videos to see what you can figure out there. All right, have a new super chat. So good. Mary E, when do you believe the housing market prices will reduce? Okay, so a couple of things are going to happen. They're already starting to happen. Interest rates are going up, right? But inventory and demand hasn't necessarily gone down. If you in Atlanta, still no houses on the market. Like literally, there's houses, but there's not a lot of houses on the market still. So inventory is still a problem. So prices will go down when demand goes down, when less people want to buy a house, and less people will want to buy a house, the higher interest rates get. But there's still a lot of demand. So say there's 100 people that want to buy a house, and some people are waiting. Some people, they're waiting for inventory to come up because interest rates are still. If you go back to one of my videos that I did in 2019, I was talking about how to get your offer approved, and this is before COVID. I was telling you how to get your offer approved because it was getting difficult prior to COVID, and interest rates were in the 3s. They were pretty much where they are now, and it was still difficult to get your offer approved. So, it's not that, we're in this thing where I'm just waiting for interest rates to rise. If interest rates stay where they are, I think it still will be pretty difficult. It's probably going to be like interest rates have to get in the higher 3s for some people to back up and lessen demand for housing. But what will happen is if interest rates go up and then prices go down, people will go back in the market and go get a house. So you're looking at just, I think, demand-wise and supply and demand-wise, it's still going to be a while. And this is, it varies by area. It's still going to be a while before you're going to have just, prices go down significantly in most places, especially in a market like a middle-class market. I'm not talking about luxury. You could buy some, luxury properties in Atlanta right now with not as much problem. But say that you're trying to get something, I have a client they're qualified for 475 and want to get in a really good school system, and they're 20 offers on a house. So, I don't think that if interest rates went up to 3.5 or 3.75, they'll probably still be there, still looking for a house because people just need a house. All right, so I'm getting off of this one. I have another super chat that came in. I want to move to Florida, but my credit score is low. How can I increase it quickly? I tried NACA, but I'm not ready to buy. Thanks for your help. So I have 2 or 3 credit videos. But number one, you need to start monitoring your credit. Monitor your credit as quickly, so you know what's going on. You need to get copies of your credit report so you know what's on there. The first thing you can do is to dispute anything that's inaccurate on your credit report. So a lot of people have errors on their credit report, and you need to dispute anything that's inaccurate. The other thing you need to do is pay down your debt so your what am I trying to say? So your utilization isn't that high. Because if you're at your top of your utilization, say your utilization is 80% of your available credit, that's dinging your credit score. A lot of y'all still paying your bills late. You need to get on a budget to pay your bills on time. And then I would go back, and I break this down in 2 videos, like everything that's making your credit score go lower. But those are some of the first things I would do, is to say, okay, where's my credit utilization? Make sure I'm not paying anything late. If I have any 30-day lates and 60-day lates, I'm going to go back to my creditors and try to get those off. And I'm going to dispute as many accounts as possible that have negative information on my account. But you need to monitor. You need to get your credit reports, start disputing, and then you need to set a budget so you're not paying anything late. But those are some of the things you can start to do. I have people, if you're not already part of my first-time homebuyers group, it's totally free. It's on Facebook. But I have people that went from the 500s to the 700s. It wasn't overnight. It wasn't no credit scheme or anything like that. But over 6 months' time, them cleaning up their credit and doing things strategically, they were able to get their credit scores up 200 points or so. So I really recommend that you do that. And just, knowledge is power, of course. So just make sure you're doing that. All right, make sure I get all of these. Let me see. All right. Thank you. One more thing from Paige. Hey, Paige again. If you're overpaying $60K, now to get your offer accepted will have a negative impact on us and new neighbors in the future tax. Okay. So this is a kind of a loaded question. Okay. If you're overpaying $60K, and I hope you're like in an expensive state. So I guess you're saying that a house is on sale, say for $500,000, and you're offering $560,000. Is that overpaying? And you don't have to. I wish we could talk. House is listed for $500,000. You offer $560,000. Okay, now it becomes an appraisal issue. So will the house appraise for $560,000? Then you're not really overpaying because they're in the market $560,000, right? So it's not like you're overpaying, it's the market. So it's what the market will bear. So it's not that you're overpaying necessarily. It's saying that if you have a seller and you have a buyer and you're willing to pay $560, and remember the appraiser comes in when you're under contract. Say you're under contract for $560, that appraiser knows that you're under contract for $560, and they're saying, okay, can I see the value? Can I see the value and say this house is worth $560? Appraisers don't come in blind. They come in with their contract in their hands, and they're going to say, is this house worth $560? And so that's kind of your protection for overpaying. And if that appraiser doesn't feel like that home is worth $560, they may appraise for $525, $530. Now the value is there. And if it appraises for your contracted price, now guess what? That neighborhood, you made that home now worth $560 in that neighborhood. So now that neighborhood, somebody who has a similar house, guess what? Now their house worth $562 for the most part, okay? So you've raised property values because you were able to find a buyer that valued your home at $560, okay? So the fear, what you want to be cautious of is if there are market changes. It might be $560 today. It might be $545 next year. So you don't want to go too much above what everybody else in the market has. That could be overpaying, but that's something that your agent could pull the comps for and see, okay, what's happening? How's the market going? I don't come in and say, well, you need to go 60,000 over. There would have to be a reason why I said, let's go up. I would advise somebody to say, let's go 60,000 above. It would depend on what the market is looking like. Okay. All right, let me go through this list. I think I'm gonna get this one up here too. Okay, thank you for everything. I got approved with McCole for $350. If y'all don't know McCole, she has a lot of my videos on here. Congratulations. What should I look for in a mortgage loan officer? I'm gonna answer this question and then I'm gonna get to the super chat I think that I'm missing somehow. Okay. So what should I look for in a mortgage loan officer? That's a very good question. So I say one thing, I'd rather you use somebody that you're somehow have a section. Either you're already banking with them or doing some kind of finance with them. They've done something for a friend or family member in the past, or your agent recommended them. And the reason why I say that, if you go blind, you may not get the same service as somebody they are expecting. Mortgage officers get their referrals, majority of them, from real estate agents. Okay. So they owe kind of that real estate agent a little bit more service for their clients. So what a mortgage officer may do for a referred client may be different from somebody who just found their information online. Okay, that's number one, or that they've dealt with in the past. Because there's a lot of things that most mortgage companies have credit simulators, but they don't offer that to everybody. I don't know if they don't want to be bothered with it or whatever. So number one is make sure that somebody that's connected. Number two, make sure that, I'll give you three, because I have a video on this too, what to look for in a loan officer. But number two, somebody that is willing to give you a loan estimate without you having to beg for it. Okay. You need to be able to get a loan estimate as soon as you do your application. You want a loan estimate so you know your numbers, your payment, your principal, your interest, your taxes. That shouldn't be a surprise for you until you get under contract. You should have a very strong idea of what you're going to pay. And then lastly, you want a mortgage loan officer, especially as a first-time home buyer, that has the patience to explain things to you that you don't understand. There are too many people that get to closing and they're like, what is this? I didn't know about these numbers. I didn't know about this. They should explain every bit of every information to you prior to you going under contract, prior to you going to closing. All of those things, you should have a good understanding of everything that they're doing. And they should have told you when you get your application, say you qualify for FHA, USDA, all FHA and conventional, let's say that. You qualify for both. They should tell you why they're going to recommend one over the other. Because a lot of people say, well, they just told me I qualify for FHA. It could have been that you qualify for FHA at a higher amount than you qualified for conventional, but they didn't explain that to you. They just said, oh, you qualify for FHA. So that's somebody who's not taking the time to explain to you what they recommended. So I just want to make sure. Those are my three, but I have two videos about how to choose a lender and how to get the best rate from that lender. All right, so Paige again. Paige, you working this page. Last question from California. Okay, you're in California. So $60,000 in California might be the norm, right? So I don't know. Is there a way to offer sellers additional cash without it being part of the? Yes, it's called options money. Options money. So basically, technical difficulties for a second, but I'm gonna say it again. Options money is basically saying, I'm gonna give you $1,000 to consider my offer. Okay. Or I'm gonna give you $500 to consider my offer, but I need to be the offer that you choose. But you give that money directly to the seller. People are in Georgia, they're cash apping it to the seller. They're doing it Zelle, cashier's check. It's called options money. Like basically, I want to get in this game. I want you to choose my offer. I'm going to give you money right now to accept my offer. So ask your agent about options money. Options money. They may call it something different in California, but it's options money in Georgia. So that's something you can use to get your offer looked at. All right, so I'm trying to go back to where this is. Oh, I answered that question. Sorry. All right, I'm gonna answer this question. Hi, Mrs. Hill. I don't know what FT. Should I know what FT? Okay. In Atlanta with 697.07 credit score with 30,000 in savings. I would like to house hack a fourplex, but I love to buy land and construct a modern fourplex since the ones I found are 500,000 and up. Okay, you can do this, Kai. you can do this, but you really need to research buying land, because when you buy land, and you need to find a builder. So you need to find a builder that's willing to do this. You need to find land that you would do it on. And then you have to check the zoning, because every community and every area doesn't allow you to put up multi-family housing either. So you want to make sure all of those things are done ahead of time. You want to work with an agent that does some land. I recommend In Atlanta Joy. I did a video about how to buy land. So if you're looking for somebody to do that, you really need to narrow down where you're going to do it, and then what lender you're going to use. You need a construction to perm loan, more than likely. And, it's very expensive right now. Supplies are expensive, more expensive than they were in the past. So it may take you a little while for you to be able to do this build. I hope that answered your question. All right, so I'm going to go back up because I feel like I'm missing something. All right, let me go back. Okay, yeah. So let me answer this question. Is there another type of mortgage, not the one based on bank statements? It's called a bank statement mortgage. This one is based on bank statements. They're called bank statement loans for the most part, and it's not based on your W-2s necessarily, or your check stubs, or your profit and loss statements. So if you're like self-employed, you can get one of those, and you could do it in your business name if you have enough, finances to document, the money that the business is bringing in. So you want to find an agent, and then you want to have them recommend to tell them that you want to buy a home in your business name. And it's basically you're using the finances of the business to fund the home. So as long as you have adequate finances and documents for that, you should be able to do it. All righty. So, okay, let me ask you this question. Have you had good experience with the USDA? Yes. So if you are in a USDA area, it's a great loan. It's 100% financing. All you have to really worry about what do you have to worry about? You only have to worry about your down payment, closing costs for the most part. But yeah, it's a great loan product. If you're in a rural area, and you can find where those homes are program. All right, Les, let me get you. Is there a program that can assist with closing costs? I'm afraid I won't have enough, as I made my down payment and I have moving expenses and something I have to take care of by closing. So I guess you're already under contract, right? So there's really nothing. Okay, I'm gonna say nothing. Down payment assistance programs will cover your down payment and your closing costs. So they generally speaking cover both, but it may be too late for you to introduce that down payment assistance program now. So you want to ask your agent if you can introduce it later, because it sounds like you're already under contract. Also, if you're buying new construction, it's usually easier. New construction, you might be able to roll it into the price of the home and have them give it back to you. So if say you're under contract for $300,000, they could change the sales price to $305,000 and then give you a sales credit of $5,000. Now that used to be popular on the when the seller was willing to go up on their price of their home, and then they would credit you back that amount at closing to cover your closing costs. That is less popular because now sellers are like, I don't need to do that. If my house is worth $305,000, guess what? I want the whole $305,000, because the house has to appraise for that higher amount. So that's less common, but it used to be common in resale. But you might be able to do it in new construction. So you want to ask about that. All right, let's see. All right, I see your crash questions. I'll get to that in a minute. A couple of people asked that. All right, let me see. All right, how much a first-time buyer do I need for down payment on so if you're doing an FHA loan or a home ready, home possible loan, 3%. So you're looking at or 3.5% for FHA, 3% for conventional. So probably about, what is that? $6,000, $7,000. All right. Okay, Bear, you better ask Bear. Okay, Bear is I read all of my comments. So some of you guys, I feel like I know. So I feel like I know Bear. I think he just had a new baby, and he was trying to get his offer. I'll put the issue in the comments, Bear. I'll put the issue in the comments, and I'll answer it. If I see you, I'm gonna answer and pop it up. All All righty. Let me see. Hi, is it wise to use a company such as OfferPad to sell a home when one doesn't want to deal with showings? Okay. I would say no. And this is why I'm going to say no. Not because I'm trying to sell you, you need to use an agent, but the whole concept of OfferPad is they have to buy it. That's why Zillow went under, right? Zillow buying homes at least. They have to buy your house at a lower price, less than what it's worth. Then they have to very soon after sell it, right? So say your house is worth 500,000. They're going to offer you say 420 for something, and then they're going to turn around and sell it for 500,000. And they're going to say, but you don't have to have any showings, but you don't have to have anybody in your house. Let me tell you this, for $80,000, 100 people can come in my house. Okay. So unless you have, you're just like, oh, $80,000, I don't need it, or whatever that difference is, unless you're saying that I don't need that money, that's kind of just, I'll throw that money in the trash. Because in this market, if you list your house on Friday, especially in Cobb County, people are begging to go to Cobb County. Cobb County has excellent schools, great location. So you list your home on Friday, right? It'll be sold by Sunday. You can say, I only want to show it on Friday, Saturday, accept offer on Sunday. You can go to a hotel for 2 days. Your house will be sold with multiple offers by that Sunday. Like I said, I'm not taking new clients, but I have excellent Cobb County, Nicole Howard, Cobb County. She has a Cobb County YouTube channel. Just put in Nicole Howard, Cobb County. She will list your house on Friday, have it sold by Sunday. Don't throw that money away. You know what you can do with that difference? That's why I said it's not a good idea. Not that they're a bad company. OfferPad, don't come for me. But it's just, why would you put that money aside just to have a couple of people looking at your house? It will be sold. High demand, especially in Cobb. All right. Nona yours. Sorry, you must be new here. I have multiple videos. How I got my start really was telling everybody about the down payment assistance programs in Georgia. So I have a whole playlist on down payment assistance that you need to watch. Please watch that. All right, Miss Chocolate Diva. Mostly I want to say thanks. Thank you as well. You've been a gem. I'm very close to confidently closing 12/17. Oh, I'm so excited to you. I will be praying for you, praying for a successful closing, successful appraisal, all of those things. And you'll be home for the holidays. So I'm really happy for you. And thank you for the super chat. All right. Oh, Brown, I'm going down. Okay. That's my question. My DCI is too high see, I told you, I thought what the other girl's name was with the new car. That's my question. My DCI is too high with the car payment. What do you think should I do with the, I'm sorry, I'm getting confused. You have a DCI question. What you think I should do? Bought the car 6 months ago. Okay. There's not much you can do, right? Because you already have this car payment. Now that car payment is increasing your DCI. You could refinance the car, but you're going to refinance that car into, longer payments. Or you can increase your income or pay off some other debt. You're going to have to work with that DTI to see what you can do. You can sell the car. Cars, even though you only bought the car 6 months ago, cars are in high demand too. So you might be able to get your money back and get a cheaper car at this point. That might be an option, but cars are one of the major things that stop people from buying a house. And they don't even realize it because, cars are much easier to buy. But when it comes to, calculating your DTI ratio, those car payments stop a lot of people, not just you, from buying the house that they want. It's a difference of qualifying for $200,000 or qualifying for $350,000. I guess it's drastic when you have a really high car payment. Thanks for asking that question, Pearl. All right. What is the thing, Miss Vaughn or Mr. Vaughn? What is the best thing to get your credit score back up after you purchase a home? Okay, so your credit score shouldn't drop drastically after you buy a house. So if it does, it's temporary. That's number one, because you're adding that credit type, that mortgage to your, overall credit. So it should actually not, go down significantly. That's number one. So I would just continue to pay your bills on time. I would make sure your debt utilization is low. So if you have any credit card debt, make sure your debt utilization, you're going to get your biggest jumps at 50% and 30%, then 10% or lower. So that should be your goal. But I mean, just continue to pay your bills on time for the most part. I have a video called How to Get Excellent Credit. I've told y'all I have an 820 credit score. My husband has the same. Didn't start out like that. I have a video about how we have matching credit scores. You can watch that. But yeah, just be very consistent. We don't pay anything late. Our credit utilization is low. And those are the majority of what we're doing to those. That's like 65% of your overall score. If you do those two things consistently, you'll do great. It's not, I hate people that pay for credit. I don't hate people when I'm saying that. I don't like credit repair companies because it's hard for you to know which one's a scam and which one's not. A lot of that stuff, that should be like your last resort. You did everything you could do on your own, and then you're seeking outside help. But until you do what you can do. All right, Liz. Hi, Liz M. I just got my offer accepted this Friday. This was our 11th offer. Been trying for 2 months. 2 months. You're just in the game. Just got in the game. That's a lot of offers, but 2 months is good. Thank you for your guidance. You helped educate me where I feel like I can confidently close. Congratulations. I would say 11 offers is a lot, but 2 months isn't a long time, honestly. So I'm very excited for you and congratulations. Thank you for sharing that. That gives hope to a lot of other people. Yeah, but that's really great. All right, I'm gonna answer this question real quick. I'm told I can't close with a savings account. Is it a bad idea to open a checking account at this time? Okay, typically when you open a checking or a savings account, any kind of account, they check your credit. It may be a soft inquiry or a hard inquiry. It might just be a little ding on your credit. But if you need a checking account, then open a checking account. I mean, that's kind of standard that people have a checking account and a savings account. So get a checking account. Have a checking at least and a savings account. So go ahead and do that. Yes. And I don't know if I'm going in and out. So if I am, I apologize for that. Good evening, Ms. Hill. I have student loans in which I have not paid for the past 7 to 8 years. Do you think a hard inquiry? What? Do you think it is still a hard inquiry on my credit, or will it affect my credit? Are you supposed to be paying them, or are they on forbearance? I guess that's my first question. So if you're not paying them, yes, I think it's affecting your credit. I think you should go to annualcreditreport.com and download your 3 credit reports to see how it's impacting you. And I advise you to monitor your credit. Have 2 videos. One that'll help what's the best credit monitoring, and most of them are free. And then the other one is, how to get excellent credit. So it tells you like where to go. So that's what I would advise you to do. All right, going through the list. Is it a good idea to refinance your loan from FHA to conventional? Yes, if you're going to, save on mortgage insurance and if your interest rate is going to go down. But the best way for you to know that is if you quote it out. So I'm always going to say get 3 quotes. So if you're going to refinance, get 3 refinance quotes to see if it makes sense for you. That's my question for you. Have people been successful with down payment assistance in this market? Thank you for the super chat first. I would say yes and no, but to me, it's mostly no. The clients that I work with lately, so not 2020, I think sellers were more likely to accept a down payment assistance offer. 2021, they were like, I got 30 offers. I don't need that down payment assistance offer. So although we have people that came to us in 2021 with down payment assistance aspirations, like they wanted to use it, once they realized how competitive the market was, they decided not to use it. It was better to get their offer approved. The last person we've got under contract and closed, they closed for $180,000, move-in ready. It was a townhouse. It was only about 5 years old though, but initially they wanted to do down payment assistance and they just know that their offer wasn't getting accepted with it. So they moved on from it. So if anybody, I would say in the comments, if anybody's closed, I know in my first time buyers Facebook group, people are getting closed with down payment assistance. And if it's not on your pre-approval letter, that's even better, because nobody knows that you're using it. But if it's on your pre-approval letter and the seller knows that you're using it, that's what becomes an issue. And in a multiple offer situation, if you're the only offer or there's 2 offers, you have a greater chance. All righty. Thank you for again. Okay, I'm trying to show something else. I just want to say thank you. Thank you so much, Jay Crawford. I listened and applied to real life. I actively look for 30 homes, 10 offers now, and I closed on my home for my daughter and I on 11/29 by the end of the month. That's exciting, exciting. Congratulations. And then I think this gives a lot of hope to a lot of people because it says I've looked at 30 homes, 10 offers. That's what you can't just, oh, I'm tired after 1 or 2 or 3 or 4. Like you really have to, if you're in this market, be in this market. It's not going to be, easy. And especially depending on price. If you look at the average price point in your city, guess what? A lot of people on that average, right? And so everybody's coming in together and they're trying to get these couple of homes. We don't know what, and I'll address the crash issue right now. We don't know what 2022 is going to look like, okay? My prediction is that it's not going to crash because there's too many people. Remember that demand part, that demand is too high of people that want housing, and these rental rates are still off the chain. Like they're going up drastically. So people still, if they find the right opportunity, they're leaving those apartments and getting a house, even at a little bit of a higher interest rate, if they can find one. The reason why people are leaving the market is they can't find a house. It's not because they don't want a house. It's because they cannot find a house. So they're like, let me just chill out, especially, November, December, January. But there's a lot of people with their New Year's resolutions. I'm buying a house in 2022. I'm getting back out there in 2022. And hopefully inventory is not expected to increase dramatically. These foreclosures haven't happened, with the foreclosures, people that were on, let me put this down, people that were on forbearance, like not paying their mortgages, where are they going? Okay, number one, the house, if I didn't have a job right now, it's because I don't want to have a job for the most part. I might have, like in my community, everybody's hiring. I remember I used to be like the work-based learning, like teacher that gives kids jobs. It was so difficult to find kids jobs. And now everybody in my class would be employed. Like there'd be no issue. And that's with teenagers. And with adults, if you want a job now, say you were laid off during the pandemic, if you want a job, you should have 2 or 3 jobs, in my opinion. And if I'm sure your mortgage is cheaper than what, you're not gonna be able to buy a new house right now, but it's cheaper than what you can find in rent. So I would do everything. If I was in that position, and I was, on mortgage forbearance, I would do everything I could to keep my house at this point. Because that's going to be my, my investment. Number one, I have equity in my house more than likely. I'm going to keep that house. I'm going to work these 2 little jobs, 3 little jobs so I can find, I'm not going to let the bank take my house in this market. It doesn't make any sense. So I don't think that a lot of people are going to have these mass foreclosures. There's too many people out there, too many jobs available. So anybody that wants one, you can get a job. And then there's too many people that want a house that if they wanted to sell it and get their money out of it, they can. All right, last question. I love Paige. Y'all probably tired of seeing Paige. Okay, last question. Me in California. Is there a way to offer sellers? I already asked that question. Never mind. Okay, we don't have to see Paige anymore. I think I answered that. But options money was the answer, just in case I missed it. All right, I'm going through my list, you guys. Can you add your closing costs to your loan? Yes, if the seller allows it. If the seller's allowing you to do it and they're going to refund that money as part of your closing costs. This was a question. Can you add your closing costs in your loan? If you're going to increase the price of the house, you can't just say, well, roll in my closing costs. You would have to increase the price of your house, and the seller has to give you that money back as a seller's contribution. That's how that works. You can't just say, oh, my closing costs are $7,000, roll that into the loan. That's something the seller has to agree with. And in this market, that's hard for a seller to do because you're basically saying, I'm offering you $200,000, my closing costs, and I'm under contract for $200,000. My closing costs are $7,000. Go ahead and roll that into the loan. I'm going to buy your house for $207,000. Because to a seller, they're like, If my house in this market is worth $207,000, guess what, buyer? I want the whole $207,000. So that's where you're getting pushback on the rolling your closing costs into the loan. All right, let me see. I have a piece of property in Georgia for sale. How do I go about doing it? Email me, info at Hilton Atlanta. You can email me for that question. No problem. Options money. No, options money is not the same as due diligence. Options money is an additional payment that you're just giving it to the seller. Like, accept my offer, please, seller. I'll give you $1,000. And they're like, oh, $1,000 now? Like, they don't have to wait till you close to get any money. You're saying, I'll give this to you now. You accept my offer today, I will give you $1,000 today. That's options money. And a lot of people are using that to get their offer approved above everybody else, because you're telling the seller, I'll give you $1,000 right now. You can use it for Christmas or something. Here, Merry Christmas. Accept my offer. I'll give you $1,000. So that's what's happening. Thanks, Paige, again. Okay, if I have a late payment from 2 years ago, will it hurt my chances of getting a loan? I have no collections or late payment. So maybe not. It really depends on how it's impacting your credit score more than anything. If it's not, you shouldn't have any issues. I mean, it's a while ago. I would try to get it removed. I would try to dispute it. I would try to get a goodwill deletion on it. Just, increase your credit score even more. But again, it shouldn't. Like, one late payment from 2 years ago should not stop you from getting a loan. No. All right. I have another super chat. Are you aware of any first-time home buyer down payment assistance with no income restrictions? Yes, Chenoa and NACA. Okay, so Chenoa and NACA. And I will have an interview with the Chenoa. So Chenoa is spelled, let me write it down so I don't spell it wrong on live. Chenoa. Okay. Chenoa is I can put it in the comments, my bad. Chenoa is no income restrictions, and NACA is no income restrictions as well. However, they do make sure that you can't live anywhere. You can't live wherever you want. But Chenoa may work for you, and NACA may work for you. But I did an interview with a lender for Chenoa, and I should have that coming out. I'm trying to see how I'm going to post videos over Thanksgiving. So I don't know if all y'all be on YouTube or be with your families, but I already recorded it. I just have to put it out. Greenish thumbs. I have 2 USDA videos. Did you know USDA will subsidize, meaning pay a portion of your mortgage in some areas? It's called USA Direct. So I have 2 USDA videos. One is the USDA Direct video. The other one is the regular traditional USDA. But a lot of people don't know that depending on your income, USDA will pay a portion of your mortgage. So that's what that video is about. I actually interviewed a USDA employee, so we can know all the details about the USDA Direct. But if you have not seen that video from me, that's something. If you are lower income and you're trying to find a house, they pay your mortgage. They don't pay all your mortgage. They pay a percentage of your mortgage every month. You can't beat that. Like, the government pays a percentage of your mortgage under USA Direct. The standard USDA Direct is 100% financing. But I have 2 videos on USDA and how it works. I want you to watch both of those. I'm not going to answer this. Relax with Nature says, what's the maximum income for FHA? That depends on where you live. So you can just Google maximum income for FHA, Georgia. Maximum income for not maximum income. Sorry. No, there's not a maximum income for FHA, but there's a maximum purchase price for FHA. So yeah. So search for that. Sorry, I misunderstood your question. I need to qualify for more money. Don't we all? I've talked a little bit, you guys. And I know this is not a question. But people that don't, they get their pre-approval and it's not the amount that they wanted. Okay, there's really only a couple of things you can do. You can add a person, you can get a co-signer, or you can add somebody to your mortgage. You could work on increasing your income or decreasing your debt, because that will impact your DTI ratio. Or you can look to say, okay, I'm approved for this. Do I need to be in this area? Because some people, they want to be in certain areas that probably over the last 2 years they've been priced out of. And it's unfortunate, but we have to, buying a house to me is such a, like a standard, like a foundational piece of personal finance that you shouldn't let it deter you. You have to kind of figure out, okay, how can I get around this? How can I figure out where I need to be? And that could, if I've told my story, I'm gonna stop real quick. I was making $70,000 as a teacher, and I always had my real estate license, but teaching, I was doing real estate prior, but teaching had gotten really, stable, right? Because I knew what I was going to make every month. But when you work for the government, unless I went back to get my doctorate, I have my master's in business education, but unless I went to get my doctorate, there was no way I was going to make more money. Just every year I might get a small raise. And so you have to, I know we're in the, people are quitting their jobs all over the place, but I really want you, especially going into 2022, should you be making more? Should you be doing more? Because I was always planning. I'll be at work teaching the kids, pretty much like I'm teaching y'all, right? But I'll be planning my escape from that place. Like, I knew that there was more money out there. When you're on YouTube and you see them like 19-year-olds making $1 million, I was like, okay, how do they do that? Like, how do they, so it was, you have to kind of start planning. Just because you make that now, and I see a lot of people like, oh, I want to qualify for down payment assistance. I want to, I want to do this. Your other side of your brain needs to say, how can I make more money? What should I be doing now to try to increase my income? It's not that I want to stay to qualify. Okay, if I qualify, good, but how can I get out of this so I can make more money and have more options? And that's what I think we all have to do, because sometimes we get too comfortable where we are and think that's all we're going to do. So, and then, I was doing both at the same time. And then I was like, okay, I'm quitting teaching. I didn't just quit altogether. I went to part-time, and then I was making $35,000. Like, I split my salary in half. And now I make like, 6 figures. Okay. I don't make $1 million, but I make I said I make 10 times that, but I probably make about 400,000. And that's like in the last 2 years. So it's just giving me an opportunity that honestly, I didn't know that I had. And I think a lot of people, because so many things that you could learn outside of your, outside of what you think you can do, right? Because when I was sitting there, I was like, okay, I'm making 70,000. I'm good. I can pay all my bills. I'm good. But I had to start thinking, okay, what else can I be doing? So, let's start doing that. All right, let's see. It says, Jill, I've seen your picture before. Thank you. It says, hey, Shaheedah, I watched a bunch of your videos. You really helped me through the process. I'm closing on my first house Monday at 2:00. Yes, Jill. Thank you so much for your knowledge. Congratulations. And right in time for it can't be on Thanksgiving for your house, huh? You have to not get through Thanksgiving. I should be moving, but congratulations. That's great. All righty. Let's see. What is the best month to buy a house in 2022? Usually it's May, because more houses are on the market, because a lot of people sell their home when school gets out. They want to sell their house when school gets out, and then they want to be in their new home before school starts. So between like April, I would say what begins April, May, June, July, August. April, May, June, July, and August is where you're going to get the best inventory, right? So you have more chances of getting a house. But sometimes people say in the winter, you get people that need to sell. If you list your house in the winter, like during the holidays, it's because you need to sell. So you may have some more opportunities. Otherwise, people just wait till after the holidays. But if they have their house on the market now, they may need to sell. And then you have a better opportunity. So that's my answer for that. Shaheedah, will interest rates go down when UGA wins the national championship? I don't know, but they're like high up. I'm not a big college football person at all, but I have no idea on that question, but I think they might win, but don't have nothing to do with interest rates. Okay, so this is a question. I bought my new construction for $395, but I'm financing $355. Does it have to appraise for what I'm financing or the total selling amount? It has to finance for the contract price. So you're under contract for $395. It needs to appraise for $395. Because that asset the bank is getting from you is $395. So yeah, it has to appraise for $395, not including like your down payment. So going to, I answered that question. Yes, somebody please, thank you. Smash that like button. I'm gonna put that up, Paula. Smash that like button for this video. It really helps me up. All right. Thank you so much. I'll reach out to Nicole. So you're amazing. Thank you so much. I appreciate that. Okay, Bear's back. Offer accepted at $397. Now the issue we faced this evening was the solar panels they have on the house cost about $25,000 to buy out, or $168 a month for the term of the contract of 23 years. It's up to you and your realtor to negotiate that, because they're not. And I know that I think the power, something that it might have gone out the service for a moment. Let me say that again. With the solar panels, so you're going to have to decide whether or not, because I guess they're not including the solar panels in the price of the house. I would negotiate with them to see if you can include it in the price of the house. I don't know if I want to take over that 168 month payment for 23 years. That seems like a lot. So yeah, you need to negotiate that to see what you're willing to do. I know solar panels over the long term may help you as far as reduce your electricity costs, but you have to see if it's worth it. And again, that's something you have to negotiate with the seller to possibly, pay it off. How much are they making from the sale? You can look at the tax records and see how much they're potentially making from the sale. If this is something you can negotiate with the seller, so you're not paying that entire amount, or if you could get that paid off at closing by the seller possibly. But yeah, that is something you're gonna have to work out with them. And if it's a deal breaker, if you're still in your due diligence period, if that's a deal breaker you can't work out, you need to make sure you have an out if you need to terminate that contract ahead of time. All right, Chanel, is there a certain amount of money that has to be in your account before going to underwriting? Okay, no. Unless your lender tells you it is. So they want to see that you have your down payment, you have your closing costs, or that you know where it's coming from. Because some people are taking it out of their 401k or their Roth IRA. Some people are getting gift funds. They want to know that you have access to your down payment and closing costs per the contract. But it doesn't all have to be there during underwriting, but they need to see, that it's going to be there. So that's a good question to ask your lender about how much money, because some people, depending on your loan, you may have to have some money in reserves. That means having a certain number of your mortgage payments in reserves ahead of time. So yeah, so my answer is there's not a set amount, but every lender is different. So you should ask your lender, how much money should I have in my account, in underwriting? But usually it's not that much. All right. Can you own more than one residential property in 2 different states at the same time? Yes, you can, Pam. All right, let's give you a scenario. So I live in Atlanta. I buy a house. I think you're asking this. I buy a house with an FHA loan. Then I get, say 3 months later, I get a job transfer to Texas, and I rent out my FHA house and I move to Texas and get another FHA loan. You can do that because it's circumstantial, right? You have to move, even though FHA says you have to live in the house for 1 year before you can rent it out. But if there are certain circumstances earlier, you can get 2 FHA loans. I think that's what you're asking, or 2 owner-occupied properties. Yes, so the answer is yes. However, if you're moving like down the street, right, and trying to get another FHA loan after like a year or whatever, they may deny that because they're like, oh, you're probably just trying to make these into investment properties. So you have to do it the right way. Or say you bought a 2-bedroom townhouse, right, and then you're getting a 5-bedroom because your family has grown. Then they'll probably let you get 2 owner-occupied loans at that point. So you can have 2 owner-occupied properties depending on the circumstance. All right, so a lot of conversation in the chat. Okay, the process of getting a fixer upper, is it hard to get a loan from one? Watch my 203K videos. Though a 203K loan will allow you to finance their rehab into the loan. You always can do a conventional loan to get a fixer upper, but sometimes you have to have that money, on your own to fix it up. But if you're trying to finance the repairs all into one thing, it's called a 203K loan. And I have a video on that, but I'm also going to interview a successful, because mine wasn't successful, if y'all saw that. But I do have a successful 203K loan video coming up soon. All right. Miss Chocolate Diva. Okay, just got word that the appraisal went well. Gotcha. Congratulations. All right, Miss Shaheedah Hill, with everyone coming up on their closing dates and the new year being right around the corner, would you have any tips for filing home ownership taxes? Okay, so taxes, and I'm not an accountant, but you have itemized deductions and standard deductions. And in the last few years, they've increased the standard deduction. So more people, it makes more sense for them to get the standardized deduction than trying to itemize the interest, because you get an interest deduction on your mortgage payments. But unless your mortgage payment is very high, it usually makes more sense to get the standard deduction than the itemized deduction. So when you're looking in for taxes in 2022, one, if your state or your city has a homestead exemption where they give you lower taxes on your property taxes, right? For having a house, make sure you apply for that. If you don't know, ask your agent or ask the person that, the county commissioner for taxes. And then the other thing you want to see with your accountant, the person that does your taxes, I bought a house, and they'll see if there's any deductions that you're entitled to with owning a sense for you to do the standard deduction or the itemized deduction. Thank you for your question, Tina. All right, I'm getting some more. Let me see. Adams Home Builders. I'm not going to talk about any specific builders because I'll get in trouble on here, but check their reviews. That's all I have to say. All right, I'm trying to get through these. All right. Okay. Let me see. I graduated, so cute ink couture. All right, thanks. I graduated from a full-time grad school program this summer and just started a new job, new post-grad job this month. Do I still need 2 years of employment history? No, you don't. Isn't that great? You don't need 2 years of employment history. I'm going to go up in my chair so I can get over these things. No, you don't, because your school will count for the 2 years. If you're going from school to employment, they will count your school for the employment. So you can apply whenever you're ready. When you have some money saved, down payment, some closing costs, go ahead and apply right now. Now that you've graduated, and hopefully you have a great job. You look great, so I think you probably got a good job. So yeah, you can apply at any time. Your school, and this is for everyone, your school counts as employment. All right, let me see if I can answer this question. Okay. I'm the executor of my mother's estate. Can I still buy a home with down payment assistance? I would say yes, because just being the executor doesn't mean that you have, a lot of assets, unless she left you those things in her will, because most down payment assistance, not all of them, but a lot of down payment assistance programs have asset caps. Like our program in Georgia, a popular one in Georgia, you can't have more than $20,000 in the bank. So they'll say that you can't have, not in retirement accounts, that doesn't count, but just like money sitting in like your checking account, your savings account, they don't want you to have more than 20,000. So if being the executor of your mom's estate means that she left you, she willed you money, you may not be able to qualify. But if you're just the executor and you don't really own anything yet, assets haven't been transferred to you yet, then you probably can qualify, for down payment assistance. All right. What are your thoughts on rates in 20? Okay, so rates are going to go up because the Fed is basically, the Federal Reserve is seeing that the economy is doing better. Jobs are available for people. Now, inflation is a whole nother thing. I want to talk about that in a second. Inflation is up. Things cost more, But pretty much if people want employment, they can get employment. If people want a vaccine, they can get a vaccine. So they're saying, okay, we don't have to do some of the things that we did. We didn't, because they lowered interest rates, so people would get back into the economy. They would, buy houses, buy stuff because money was so cheap. They're going to increase interest rates gradually in 2022. It's supposed to stay in the threes, mid threes. But this will have, if you're in a lease, be willing to break your lease. Be willing to terminate your lease early. If you find something that is worth it, worth you going and getting, then to me, just be willing to end your lease early. There will be a penalty, so you need to look into that. Before you sign a lease, you can try to reduce that penalty as much as possible. Have that written in your lease, tell your landlord that you're buying a house. But typically it's 60 days, right? It's 60 days that they're going to penalize you for. And when you buy a house, you skip a mortgage payment. So it's really only 1 month that you might have double mortgage and rent. And that might be worth it if you find a really good deal in the housing market. I would be willing to break my lease. Okay, somebody said I closed with DPA. That was not on my pre-qualification letter. I used Bank of America. Isn't that so? You have an advantage if the down payment assistance is not on your pre-approval letter. Basically, that a lot of down payments say, Laura is approved with Georgia Dream down payment assistance, and then the seller goes, no down payment assistance. But if it's not on your letter, they don't know. So I think that gives you an upper hand if it's not on your letter versus it being on your letter. So thank you for sharing that, Laura. Because somebody did ask earlier, are people having any luck getting their offers approved with down payment assistance? Hey, Percy. I always see your thing. Percy, you wouldn't like me when I'm angry. I'm like, okay, I don't want you to get angry. Thank you so much, Percy. I appreciate that. Let me get off of this. This is random, but you think okay, I'm not going to answer that. All right, I'm trying to get down. It's 7 o'clock and I'm still in 6 something. Okay, this is a good question. I co-signed on my mom's house 10 years ago, and we have about 300,000 left. But I want to own my own home. Do you think I'll be able to get my own home with still being a co-owner? That's yes. The answer is yes, because you can show that you're a non-occupant co-owner. Now you're going to, so right now, I want you to reach out to maybe the agent that sold you that house, and maybe they can recommend a lender, because typically in most loans, you have to show that you haven't been helping pay that mortgage. And you could be a non-occupant co-signer, I guess. That's one way of doing it. If you show that your mom's, successfully paying the mortgage 100% on her own. And then the other thing is your mom could refinance the house with, probably because y'all paid off, a lot of the mortgage. She can refinance the house possibly in her own name. That could take you off of it if you can't still remain on it. So those are some options, but I would start now researching what you need to do. But yeah, you can either as a non-occupant co-borrower where they know that you're not helping pay this mortgage, or you can have your mom refinance the house. Those are 2 options to get the house out of your name. But try the first one first. That might be easier. All right, a realtor question. If you change realtors, do you need to change the lender if the realtor referred them to you? Good question. I would say if you like your lender, stay with them. Lenders, and I get a lot of this, and maybe people doing business differently than I'm doing business, but I don't have any kind of agreement or anything. I'm not getting a referral fee. I'm not getting anything for referring my clients to the lender. So if you decide to fire me and you still like the lender, go ahead and use the lender. I have no connection to that. If you feel like there's some loyalty, like they're going to treat you differently because you fired, but those are 2 independent businesses. I don't think there should be an issue with you, continuing on with the lender and not using the agent. I wouldn't have a problem with it. But if you feel like there's some kind of they're going to treat you differently if you do it, then you may want to move on. Okay, let me see. Education movement. This is about an inspection. I was wondering, should I always get an inspection on a condo, no matter the size of the condo? My realtor gives me the option, have the inspection or not. Yes, I think this is always going to be my answer. Get an inspection. It only can give you the information. You don't want to get into a condo or a house and be surprised by things, especially as a first-time home buyer. Do you have the money to address the things that need to be addressed? So I recommend inspections on new construction, on condos, on homes. Like I recommend on resales, definitely get an inspection all the time. Alex, what's your take on financing while buying a land? Please watch my video how to build on your own land. That'll answer some of your questions on that. I have a realtor question. I'm in the process of getting my real estate license. Can I receive commission on the sale of my own home, being that I'm also the buyer? Yes, yes, and yes. I have a video called, I have a video for everything, y'all. Y'all just gotta, watch all of them. But I have a video called How to Get Paid at Closing. And this is one way you can get paid at closing. Represent yourself, you get paid, you buy the house, get paid the commission. And you also can use the commission for your down payment. You need to just ask your lender ahead of time, but in most instances, you can use that commission. Say the commission is 3% and you're doing a 3% down, you can take that 3% and use it for your down payment. So the answer is yes, yes, and yes. And anybody that's considering getting their real estate license, that's what that video is all about, how to get paid at closing. You can definitely represent yourself. And even though you're the same person, you're still your own agent. So that's something that you want to do. And let me another story time. The only reason, and I recommended Nicole Howard a minute ago. We're best friends. We've been friends since high school, 10th grade. The only reason I'm in real estate now is because in 2016, I've been licensed since 2003. I've been licensed for a long time, going on almost 20 years. But I let my license lapse when I was teaching for a couple of years. And in 2016, me and my husband were buying a new house. So I called my friend Nicole, who's a realtor, and I say, I want to buy a new house. I want you to represent us. And she said, Shaheedah, renew your license and represent yourself. Keep that commission. And I was like, I have to renew my license. Because I had let it lapse. And so that's really the only reason, because she said, if she would have said, no, I'll represent you, I probably would have got my license renewed. But once I got my license renewed, we bought our house and I represented us and got to keep the commission. And then my husband, like somebody else at the school, I want to buy a house. My wife has her license. And that kind of just, grew from there. But in 2016, if she didn't say, Shaheedah, go just renew your license and represent yourself, I probably wouldn't be in real estate right now. All right, so let me get rid of that. FHA just increased their maximum loan limits. So they've already done it this year. I don't know if they'll do it again, but you could just research maximum loan limits, California, maximum loan limits. And it may vary a little bit on larger states, but you can see, but they did increase their loan limits in 2021. This is on Ricardo for NACA. Anything to accelerate the process. What people have told me definitely is make sure you're very organized, that you have to follow up with their counselors because they don't stay, they come in and out. There are Facebook groups that are NACA Facebook groups. If you can find a NACA Facebook group for your city, like say you're in Phoenix and you want a Phoenix NACA Facebook group or a Arizona NACA Facebook group, that can help you because you can kind of avoid some of the things and get some tips from the people. But there's like a big NACA Facebook group. But I would join that, but I would also join like smaller ones that you might be able to get a little bit more help with in your city. But that's my recommendation for NACA, because otherwise you'll be like, it'll be a lot. It'll be a lot. Alex, watch my video on how to build on your own land. Please watch that. I'm trying to skip through some of these. All right, your videos are so helpful, Popcorn. I closed my home 3 months ago. Keep up thank you so much. I appreciate that. Now it's time for a rental property. I am going to start talking about rental properties now that a lot of people have closed on their first home. So I'm excited. Shireen, yes. Okay, so it kind of makes sense, y'all. I don't think about stuff sometimes. Like I said, I'm just in real estate right now. Somebody told me, go ahead and renew your license. But it does make sense that because I'm a realtor and a teacher, I put those two things together and give classes. So yes, they're coming soon. Just as much as possible, follow me. And then when I announce it, definitely subscribe if you're not already. I'll be announcing it soon. Let me see. I'm going a little bit faster. If I'm skipping, you might need to put it back in. All right, let me see. Can you buy a home with child support on your credit? It makes it more difficult. They may have you resolve it and get caught up before you can get approved. So you want to work with your lender. So go ahead and I always say, don't be scared to get pre-approved. Go ahead and get pre-approved. And then I want you to, if they have an issue, I want you to working on it, because it's going to be on your credit. It's going to be part of your DTI ratio, of course, as well. But the answer is yes, but to what extent it will, or how much you need to get caught up on. That's one of the things when you're doing DTI for child support payments. And if you're on back child support, that can stop you if it's on your credit report. So don't be scared to get a pre-approval so they can walk you through that. Like, what should you be doing? How can you get caught up? What should you be doing? And then for people that are receiving child support, if you're receiving child support and you can use it as income to qualify, right? Qualify for more, because you can't just use child support only. But if you have a job and you have child support, it can help you qualify for more, because it's including your income. But if you have older children, if you have children that are like 15, 16, teenagers, they may not count it, because most lenders want to see that child support is going to continue for 3 years or more. Let me say that again. They really want 3 years or more. So if you have some kids like 12, 13, 14, go get it now. Go buy your house, because you may not be able to use it as they enter their teenage years, and if you're depending on using it. All right. Hit the like, y'all. Okay, hit the like button, please. All right, this is a good question. We're purchasing a home for $71,000, and the appraisal came in at $120,000. What does that mean for us? That's lovely. It means that you're buying a house with almost $50,000 in equity. So that $50,000 increases your net worth, $50,000. You could have access to that equity if you needed that equity at some point. You could do I have a video about what is equity and how you can get it out. But if you needed to do like a home equity loan, a home equity line of credit, if you needed to refinance and take the $50,000 out, it just puts you in a better position financially, because you already have a good amount of equity in your home. So that's a very good thing. Let me ask you this question. I have a full-time job, but I also want to add my part-time job since I've been on it since 2017. How they calculated in 2019, things got slow but picked up. If you're still working there, they'll probably just average it out. They'll average it out based on how much you normally make over the last 2 years. So over the last 2 years, they'll kind of probably use your average or your last few check stubs. More than likely your last few check stubs. But you can use part-time income. You've been there long enough. They're either going to average it out over the last 2 years, or more than likely just use your last few check stubs to see, okay, what are you mostly making at this job? That and your W-2s will help them, see how much of that part-time income they're going to use. All right. How soon can you make an offer on a house listed for sale that won't be ready for 240 days? I guess because they're building it, right? As long as it's listed for sale, you can make an offer now. You don't have to wait. It's like new construction. It might just be a slab, but you can make an offer on it and know that it won't be complete until later. So if it's for sale, you can make an offer on it. All right. Let me see. Okay, my husband and I are retired, so can we be approved for a house only with our Social Security benefits? Yes. Social Security does count. Get for a lot. Just to advise you, and sorry if that went out again, but always a lady. If I'm going in and out, somebody put that in the comments so I can see that, because on my end, I'm going in and out. So the question is, I live in a rental for 10 years. Owner wants to sell to me. Any advice for loans? I would just get a standard FHA, VA. I would do down payment assistance, because if you can qualify, because you already have a seller that wants to sell to you. So why not take advantage of being the only, person they're looking at, and using down payment assistance in that offer. And I wouldn't worry too much about the medical bills. They don't usually they don't frown upon that, since you didn't intentionally take out that debt. But I would get a realtor, not for them to earn a commission, especially if the seller is not offering a commission, but I would offer that agent a flat fee to advise you on the process. So walk you through the process, the contracts, the inspections, all of that kind of stuff. I would just offer the agent a flat fee to do that for you. Thank you, Ssdi. I love your channel. I've learned so much. Okay, everybody asking about land. Because everybody asked about it. I did a really good video about how to build a house on your own land. So I want you to watch that video. All right. Question: are sellers helping with closing costs at this point, or open to negotiating a lower home cost? Not in many markets. So in Atlanta, depending on price point, it really depends on the competition, right? So if there's a price point that doesn't have a lot of competition, then the seller is going to be more negotiable. But if a seller is getting multiple offers, there's no reason to negotiate with you. Why do I have to negotiate with you when I have 10 people that are willing to pay me above my sale price? So when you're asking this question, the answer for Atlanta is no. I would say under 500,000. Okay. Or unless when they have multiple offers. But if they're under 500,000 with no offers, then they probably will offer closing costs or negotiate a lower price. But right now, if that house is move-in ready and it's in a good neighborhood and it's in a good area, they're getting multiple offers because inventory is so low. When that house comes on the market, everybody tries to get it. So in Atlanta, no. But it really varies by house. But I would say the majority of them are going pretty quickly, and they don't need to negotiate with buyers on closing costs. Answer my question about it going in and out. I don't see it. Okay, so if you're losing me, please let me know. It says I've had to switch my lender going under contract on new construction. My realtor disclosed this info without my approval. Is there anything I can do to switch my realtor? It doesn't sit right with me. Okay, I answered this in a YouTube short. I don't know if you guys are seeing those shorts that I'm trying to do, like little tidbits of information, but okay, you can switch your realtor anytime. However, it's about when did they earn their commission? More than likely, because they found you that house or they're on the contract of the new construction as your agent that found you that house, they earn the commission already. So if you're trying to fire them now, you can't fire them. But guess what? When it's time for you to close, that builder is going to pay them that commission because they've already earned it. So it's like you're cutting somebody off that might be able to help you, but they've already earned their money. And there's no, when you fire them, there's really no benefit for them to help you, because they've already earned their commission when they found you that house. So what I would recommend that you do, if your realtor is not a broker, and I would say the majority of agents are not their own broker, they are supervised by a broker. So when you're looking on your contract, the brokerage should be listed. So you want to reach out to their broker, explain the problem, like explain what's happening. It didn't feel right. You didn't like it. You can explain it to the agent as well and see if they can explain to you why they did what they did. But if you want to switch, that broker can represent you themselves, right? To kind of help you through the sale, or they can switch you to another agent because that agent is really working for the broker. If that makes sense. So that's probably what I would do, because you don't want to fire somebody and they'll be like, okay, it's cool. Well, just let me know when you close, or they would email the builder, let me know when this contract closes so you can mail my commission, because they won't have to like help you anymore. So you want to be able to do that, and just, end it the right way, because there could be a reason why they did what they did that you just fully don't understand. But if there's still an issue, I would reach out to the agent's broker. All right, so hi, current comment. That's helpful. All right, I'm going down, so I'm going to try to get some of your questions that came in lower. Okay, so somebody is saying, Tony's wifey, thank you much. So sorry, you guys. I think we're pretty stable right now. Hopefully tonight. All right, so the question is, why do we have to offer over the sales price? I thought the prices listed would be enough. I'm new to all of this. Good question. All right, so when somebody lists their property, they're generally listing it because of the comps in the area, what things are selling for. But what's going to raise the price is the demand for that property. So they may say, okay, the last home sold for $300,000. I'll list my house for $300,000. But then people go visit their house, look at it, and they say, okay, if I have 10 people, right, and everybody comes in at $300,000, how am I going to pick one or the other, right? So people come in, they say, I'll pay $330,000 for this house, and somebody else says, I'll pay $350,000 for this house. It is the demand. That's the reason why when things are in low supply, prices go up. Because now people want it more, like supply and demand. They want it more. So the prices, things are selling above the list price so you can beat out the competition. You're trying to beat out the competition. Think of the list price in most places as a starting point. They'll take that, but what they're probably looking for, whoever's going to give them the most money. Even if they listed their house for $300,000, if they have 20 people, all the 20 people are like, okay, what do I have to do to get this? I know $300,000 is the minimum, but I'm going to offer $310,000. I'm going to offer $315,000. I'm going to offer $330,000. That's why in this market, and I say this, Sabrina, because it's a seller's market, because there's one house and there's 20 people that want that one house. That's why they're willing to pay above list price for it. Okay. So that's the answer to your question. If it wasn't a seller's market, say there were 10 houses and 2 people, guess what? Those 2 people with houses, they're going to say there are 10 houses and 2 people that want to buy them. So they're going to say, buy me. I'll discount $10,000. I'll pay your closing costs. I'll do whatever, because they need that buyer to buy their house. And right now in this market is totally opposite. You got 10 buyers and 2 houses. And the two buyers are like, who's going to give me the best offer? Whoever got the best offer, that's who I'm choosing. But you have to at least have a starting point. That's why people are paying above list price. All righty, Sabrina. Okay, so I'm not getting any new questions. A lot of people on the chat, y'all better come in now because it's a good time. I'm going to go back up because maybe I'm not freezing right now. USC Trojans. I have family in Arizona. Okay, I just want to go to this one. It says we just lost a bidding on as the house was listed for 620, and then the seller was asking about 650. Okay, so it was listed for 620, and then the seller was asking 650. So they were asking 620. What were you offering? It's hard to see, Depop. But I guess they were trying to get 650. They should just listed it for 650, but you lost it. So I'm assuming that you came in not high enough, and maybe you came in at 640 and they wanted to try to get you to 650. If you want to rephrase your question, if you have a question, I'll be looking for it. All right, so I have new questions. Yeah, so I have any connects or work in other states besides Georgia. I am just licensed in Georgia. I'm licensed in Georgia. However, if you're looking for a referral, in this video, I'm going to have a link for me to refer you to another agent in another state if you need one. Hey, Bear, you're back. Yes, Fannie and Freddie Mac have their own. It's like a 203K, but it's not called a 203K. The name is getting away from me right now. But if you put in the Fannie, Freddie Mac, or put in Fannie Mae remodeling loan, they will come up. They have their own version of a 203K. Yes. What is a rent back and why do some people do it? Okay, so prior to it being people usually do this in a buyer's market. So they'll put you under contract and they will, it's kind of like a lease purchase basically, or a rent back. So they'll put you under contract and then they'll have you pay rent with a portion of that rent. They could word it or have the contract in various ways, but say that it's a lease to own. You might pay $1,500 a month, maybe $200 of that goes towards your down payment, and you have the option to buy it after a year or 2 years. And some of that down payment, some of that money that they're putting may go toward your down payment. And the only reason a seller would do that for the most part is because they couldn't sell their house. They're having some problems selling it, and they're willing to do a rent back to maybe somebody who can't qualify for the loan. They're willing to do that in the meantime. But that's what it is. Okay, good. Okay, so Charnay, what if you go under contract but realize the mortgage payment is too high? Good question. Okay, so make sure when you are getting a pre-approval at the same time you're getting, or as soon as you get it, you request it, you need a loan estimate, because you shouldn't be surprised by the mortgage payment amount. I don't see why anybody's surprised about it unless you did not get a loan estimate at the time of pre-approval. So you should be asking for a loan estimate at the time of pre-approval. So then you avoid being surprised by the amount of your mortgage payment. So that's number one. Number two is, okay, so they've approved you for something. This is gonna be a little tricky. So say you have a finance, do you not want the house anymore? I'm gonna take it from that. Say you don't want the house anymore. If you have a finance contingency, and then that finance contingency, because the price is higher than maybe you anticipated, would that take you from no longer being able to be approved for the house? If that's the case, then your lender will give you a loan denial letter, and then you can get out of the contract if you're still in a finance contingency and get your earnest money back. If that's not the case, you can terminate the contract just so you don't have to buy anything. And the earnest money is, in most states, check with your state, is your damages if you terminate your contract early. If you get to 2 days before closing, you're like, I don't want this house. I thought it was going to be cheaper. I'm not buying it. You could be at risk of losing your earnest money. But that might be worth it instead of you paying, for a mortgage that you cannot afford. So I really want you to talk to your lender and talk to your agent to see, okay, what is my best way of getting out of this house that I'm not comfortable with the mortgage payment. But so you don't get in this situation in the future, your lender should give you a loan estimate. I have a video called What You Should Ask Your Lender. And one of the big things I say is you need a loan estimate. When I say a loan estimate, I'm not talking about, it'll be about this. You want it in writing from the lender as to what your mortgage payment will be. You don't want to say, and your closing costs and your down payment. You want everything, because a lot of lazy lenders, I'm just going to say it like that, lazy lenders want to say, oh, it'll be 3%, estimate 3%, estimate this. You want it in writing from them, okay? And so watch that video so you know what to ask for. All right, Lynn, can my daughter apply with me as her mom for a mortgage? She graduated college with a bachelor's degree in a particular field, then went to work for yes. So the answer to this is yes. Your daughter can apply. Typically can I add my part-time job to my approval? Yes, as long as usually for at least 2 years, you can add it. I'm trying to answer. All right. So I just paid off my credit card to decrease my utilization. Do I need to wait until my credit report updates before I apply for pre-approval? You can. Generally takes 30 days to just make sure it's approved. It updates. So I would wait. Make sure you don't close the card. Don't close the card. People make that mistake and then your credit score drops. So definitely don't close it. But yeah, you can wait about 30 days so it's reflected on your credit report. Let's see, does a higher down payment make you preferable to a seller, or is that only relevant to the lender? Yes, I would say yes. If you're in a competitive situation, like I've had a seller that I was representing, and one of the buyers was putting 20% down. And that was more, makes you look like you have more money available. And the more money you have, the more likely you're not going to get in financial trouble and not being able to close the loan. So my seller did take that as being, more financially stable, more ready to close. But it was they also offered a higher amount. So it's not like, that you could come in lower because you're putting 20% down, but it allows your just overall financial picture to be a little bit more favorable to a seller. But you can't say, I'm putting 20% down, so I'm going to offer you list price or lower. It just makes it, if you're up against somebody else coming at a similar price, that would be more favorable because you look like you're more financially stable than somebody putting down 3% or 3.5%. All right, my lender gave me an estimate. They said $22,000 for closing for a $180,000 house. That does seem high to me. However, if you're watching me for a while, you need 3 lender quotes, because there might be some fees in there that one lender is charging you, other lender is not charging you. I would say it's about 7% if you're doing FHA, 0.07 times 180,000. More like $12,000, $13,000 would be a little bit more, I think, in line with that price of a house. However, go ahead and get your other quotes to see where this money is. I have 2 videos. I have a FHA closing cost video, and I have a conventional closing cost video. But you want 3 estimates and you want 3 quotes if you feel like they're not giving you a good deal. Okay, let me ask you this question. If I need someone to help me qualify for a VA loan, can they be on the loan with me if we're not married? I think you're required to be a spouse, but that's an easy question for a lender. I would just reach out to a VA lender and see what they say about that. So a VA person can co-sign for you if that's what you're asking, and you could possibly do a VA loan, possibly. Don't quote me on that, but I think so. I have a VA loan video. I think the person that did that with me was Angel. Not Angel. I forget, but go to VA loan video and then email that. I think it was Angel Bailey. If you email that lender, she'll answer that question for you. All right, let me see what else I can answer. And I'm going to go back up just because I missed somebody. Let me answer this. I bought one townhome and it appraised for $70,000 to $90,000. Did it appraise for 70 or 90? But okay, $70,000 to $90,000. Can you advise me to rent out the property or sell it? Please let me know. It depends on if you want to be a landlord, you trying to invest, or you trying to get cash flow and make money. So it really depends on what you're trying to do. That's it's, you can make money monthly and then get the appreciation for the townhouse over time. But what is your goal? To get cash flow monthly through rentals, or to just buy something, pay it off, and make money pretty quickly? All right, I'm going back up. Okay, what are some safer, smaller cities for young Black professionals you suggest moving to? I don't have a good list for this, so I would just research. There are a lot. What's good about YouTube, there are a lot of agents on YouTube now, and they may be talking about their cities. So I would do some Google searches on best cities to live for professionals, stuff like that, to get an idea. And then I would go on YouTube, try to find some realtors, and then give you a better feel for the communities. Okay. What is your opinion on buying a home if you're retired and getting a pension and Social Security? Do it. I don't see any problem with it. My mother does that. She's retired. She has a pension. She has Social Security. She bought a new house a few years ago. She loves it. And she actually upsized. So she didn't downsize. She upsized. There's only her in the house, and it's a bigger house than the house that we bought, or she bought when we were younger. So she loves it. She loves being able to do whatever she wants, and she's on that. As long as it's in your budget, you definitely need, you want to do it. So I say yes, no problem. It wasn't a problem getting approved. They love retired people because that income is stable, especially a pension typically is very stable. Social Security is very stable. So it's not like people that are employed. You could lose your job, you get fired, you could quit. They see retired people as much more stable than other employed people, actually. So you shouldn't have a problem getting approved. All righty, I'm going up. We got 15 more minutes. I'm going to go back up to make sure I didn't miss anything. Okay, I answered that question. All right, let me see. I have a super chat. No, I already answered that. Sorry. Sometimes the super chat things pop up. Thank you for letting me know I'm going in and out. All right. Okay. So I'm going to stop for a second because I only have 15 minutes and I wanted to go over a couple of things. As we want to say this, Thanksgiving is approaching. And I know a lot of us are going to our grandmother's house or maybe some older relatives' house that really know how to cook well for Thanksgiving. And you're going to be around a lot of family. And I don't know if you know what wholesale, I'm not a big wholesaler fan. So wholesalers, they are non-real estate, usually they're not real estate agents that go and try to find properties for investors. They go to try to find properties for investors. And when they're finding the property, they are going to have the seller agree to a typical sales price. And then they're going to turn around and find an investor to buy the property at a higher price. I'm giving you an example. So they find, a house that, or a seller that's willing to sell their house for $100,000. They do a little contract between themselves and the seller. And then they go out with their investors and say, oh, I have this house. I need $150,000 for it. And it's worth maybe $250,000. So they'll find this investor that's willing to pay the $150,000. They keep the $50,000. They give the seller $100,000. And then the investor may fix it up or whatever and get $250,000. Now, this is a huge problem. I think it's borderline unethical. It's not unethical or illegal at all, but it's when the seller doesn't know what their house is worth. Because a lot of cases, that wholesaler doesn't tell the seller that their house is really valued at the $150,000 or maybe even more than that. And they leave that out. They give them the $100,000, but they leave that out. And this is a big problem, particularly with older people, because wholesales will get the tax records. They may see, they will get, if somebody dies recently, they're looking at the obituaries, they're looking at everything. They're looking at any kind of vulnerability that this seller may have. And it's particularly in gentrifying areas. It's in gentrifying areas. It is in areas where people know the value. They know that the community has an aging population. They may not understand their property value. And I want sister-in-law lives in a gentrifying area. She gets calls every single day asking her if she wants to sell her house. And some people are selling their houses for, pennies on the dollar, because they may be in, they may not have a pension. They may just be living off of Social Security, and they can't fix some things in their house, and maybe getting this lump sum of money is something that's attractive to them. So I want you to, if you have older parents, grandparents, I want you to talk to them about the value that they have in their homes and what they plan on doing with that. Do they have any? Because a lot of people don't talk about this stuff, but then when some, random person approaches them, they'll call, they'll visit, they'll do all of those things to try to convince the seller to sell their house. And so I want to make sure, I'm going to post a video tomorrow about, how this is happening in Atlanta. But I want you to be knowledgeable about this. If your older relatives or anybody that's looking, but it's particularly elderly or older seniors, if they are thinking about selling their house, I want you to get three real estate agents to quote the value of that house, particularly in this market. Because you don't know if that, sometimes you don't know how that agent, who they're connected with, and the value that they may see with that. I don't want you to work with wholesalers at all, but I want you to, if they're really looking to sell, I want you to meet with 3 agents and see what they all think the value is. And you evaluate, who do you think is accurate on the value? Who do you think has your loved one's best interest at heart? I also want you guys to think about, should you be keeping this property in the family? Should it be sold at all? Should you be looking at buying your grandmother's house and maybe renting it back to her for a lower price or something along those lines? I don't want you to sell property that you don't need to sell. And I don't want you to sell property that is valued at so much more than what you're valuing it for. So as we approach Thanksgiving, I want you to really be thinking. I know you've been watching all my videos, but really think about the value, because a lot of people are giving away their wealth, especially in gentrifying areas where you have people they have, a lot of cash, they're investors, they're people moving from out of state, willing to take a house and rehab it, that are taking properties that somebody in the family could be buying, that sort of thing. So that's my little brief thing on wholesaling and making sure that you're keeping wealth in your family and trying to preserve that wealth in your family as much as possible. So I just wanted I also wanted to say, what else I want to say before we close? I know I have a few more questions that are coming up. I want you to really think about making sure, like if you haven't been able to buy a house in 2021 because it's been so competitive, I want you to plan. I want you to not give up in this market so you can still possibly buy a house. Because again, the wealth gap between homeowners and renters is significant, a lot. I've done a video on that as well. You can't keep on paying people rent and having nothing to show for it. There are people that have been renting for 20 years, 30 years, and they have nothing to show for it. You can own your house. You can do a 15-year mortgage. You can do a 30-year mortgage where you own something. You don't want to live in an apartment that you will never, ever own. It's going to be one of the cornerstones to wealth. It's definitely one of the cornerstones to wealth in America. So you want to make that, if it didn't happen for you in 2021, if it wasn't able to happen, you can still, make it a priority in 2022 to be a homeowner. So I'm going to end. I know I'm not going to answer a few more questions that just came up. But again, I want to, before everybody got off, I want to make sure I put that thing out there about some of your elderly parents and grandparents in their homes. And I also wanted to say that I really appreciate you guys, people that supported me and like my channel and tell me when they close. If you haven't already, please join my First Time Buyers Facebook group. I'm on there also every day. If people have general questions, either the group answers them or I answer them. It's totally free. It's something good for you to join. And I just appreciate you. 80,000. I'm sure I'll get to 100,000 soon with your support. But again, I appreciate you. I'm always in the comments. I'm trying to answer it and help as many people as possible. So let me answer these last few questions. But I will go to 8 o'clock, which is about 10 more minutes, and I'll answer some more questions. All right. How can higher recently sold home prices increase your property taxes? It all goes by the value. So if home values are going up, property taxes, say your property taxes, being very simple, are 5%. So you have a $100,000 house and that property taxes are 5%. That's going to be, what am I trying to do? It's going to be about $5,000, right? But if the house value goes up to $200,000, now your property taxes are $10,000. So as property values increase, even if the percentage of property tax stays the same, you will pay more in taxes when the values increase. Thank you, always a lady. How long is a pre-approval good for? Good question. It depends on the lender, but typically 90 days to 120 days. But if you want to update your pre-approval, you have to credit, and they will update the pre-approval. 20 days. Okay, what is my Facebook name? The Facebook name is First Time Homebuyers Group, Shaheedah or Hill First Time Homebuyers Group. But in every video, I have a link to my First Time Homebuyers Group. Every video in the description, there's a link to the First Time Homebuyers Facebook group. Thank you so much. I don't do subject to deals. I don't really, okay, let me say subject to, and I'm not gonna do a whole subject to. It is legitimate, it's something you can do, but I try to work. I don't do anything that I feel like I wouldn't do myself or advise somebody to do. And I don't do anything that I wouldn't, want my mother, grandmother, or, somebody else doing. If I don't think it's a good deal, I don't care how much money I'm gonna make. I just don't advise it. So I don't really talk about subject to. There are other YouTube people that do it. You could look on that. Or I'm going to have this video because I'm going to show you how it works, so people can get this before Thanksgiving. So I'm going to post it tomorrow. But just so you're aware of what's happening out there with wholesaling and people taking older people's homes. How early should you look for a realtor and get pre-approved? I say 3 to 4 months before you want to be in your house. 3 to 4 months before you want to be in your house, you should find a realtor. There are a lot of small banks and credit unions. I would say Georgia's own credit union has been good. Delta Community. I would go to credit unions or maybe a local bank in your town. Like if you're like in Decatur, what are the local banks in Decatur? If you're in Kennesaw, there's some like local banks there. But start with a realtor, then that'll be easier. Start with a realtor and then ask for some of your local banks. So I would do that. Millennial money. I took a break from house hunting. No inventory, not finding the right place. I'm on a priority list for a new build and reach out to my realtor to ask about it. But I think we're being ghosted. Move on. Are you being ghosted by the builder or ghosted by the realtor? I would say, sorry, trying that water out. I would say that I'm on a lot of lists right now for my clients and for a new construction. So, typically they are releasing lots, like 2 or 3 at a time, and then sending emails out to everybody. So if the realtor is ghosting you, find a new realtor. If the builder's ghosting you, you might just want to reach out to the builder and see what's going on. But a lot of people are in the same boat. They are, there's no homes right now, so they can't get it. So I would just say that, you're taking a break, get back out there, in 2021. But a lot of people are. So you might want to get back out there a little bit earlier, like in December. People don't like to list their home over the holidays. They want, they don't want people in their house December. They don't want people in their house during Thanksgiving, Christmas. So you want to list it. You want to get back out there maybe a little bit earlier because people that list in December probably have to sell. So it might give you an opportunity that you wouldn't have otherwise. Okay. My chapter 13 was discharged. Thank you for the super chat. I'm trying to get this in. My chapter 13 was discharged September 1st. I have 100% VA home loan eligibility. How soon can I use my benefits after my discharge? I want to say immediately. I'm sorry, I don't have the best answer for you, But again, if you email Jordan Bailey, look at my VA loan video, and I interviewed Jordan Bailey about VA loans. She can answer that question for you. So please just you can search any of my videos at the top, put in VA loan, or go to my mortgage options playlist. If you look at that, that'll give you her information. It's in the description. Just email her and ask her. She'll answer. All right. I think, let me see who's gonna be my last person. Oh, thank you, Stephanie. All right, this is gonna be my last question. All right, homes have increased in price in this area, marked up by 90K with some homes. If there's a home for 387,000 that would normally be 290, what happens if I secure a loan and the market normalizes? Okay, so for the market to normalize, and when you say that they're marked up to 387, that means people are buying them for 387. So even though they used to be 290, the market has said now they're worth 387, right? So now the appraisal and the new values are that. So for it to come back to 290 is probably unlikely unless the demand for these homes stops. Like you said, you're still in the market, even though it's 90 more, you're still like, I need to have a house. I want to buy the house, even at $90,000 more. So I think as long as the demand is there, it should stay in the 387,000. Like, I don't think in Georgia, 250,000, you'd be able to get a house in Georgia. I don't think we're going back to $250,000 move-in ready homes. The new price has gone to 250 to 350, and I don't anticipate it going back down unless there is a reason that inventory increases drastically, and it's not going to happen because of foreclosures. I talked about that. What would have inventory increase drastically? And I don't think anybody's solved that problem yet other than rising interest rates, but there's still so much demand. Like you said, there's so many people that can't find a house. So the demand is still there. Builders are slowing down their builds, so they're not inventory. There would have to be, it's not going to be a foreclosure crisis. So, and then I think even if they've done so much to shore up the economy to make sure that we didn't crash, that I don't think it's going to happen. So when I say normalizes, it may get to, when I say something goes to normal, it's going to be, instead of 10 offers on a house, maybe it's 2 or 3 offers, but still the offers are in the 300 range. They're not back to the 290. So offers are going to, prices are going to stay where they are until there's more inventory and fewer buyers. And the only thing that does that is, I would say interest rates would have to go past 4%, like 4%, 4.5, something like that, because that would have buyers like, oh, can't afford that. And then prices have to go down. Okay. But if interest rates stay where they are now, like in the mid 3s, buyers are still going to try to get a house, because guess what? That's way cheaper than their rent in most cases. And when I said 2019, that's where interest rates were. If you Google 2019 average interest rates, they're going to be in the 3s. It's kind of like we're back to where we were. But guess what? Everybody that bought a house recently, they're like, I got this 290 house. I'm not selling. Well, because where I'm going to go? I can't find this house for 290 anymore. I'm going to stay exactly where I am. There's no reason for me to sell. That's why inventory will continue to be low. Inventory, like I bought my house. I think I've said it probably before. We bought our house for $225,000. It's 7 bedrooms, 4 baths in like a 7-8 school system. We're not going anywhere. I don't care how much money we make, because we're not going to find this anywhere anymore. We're staying put. And if we do, we'll probably rent it out. So there's a lot of incentive for a lot of sellers not to sell, because they're all saying, where am I going? So unless they're going to downsize, they're moving in with family, they're relocating, a lot of people aren't looking to sell. And that's, if inventory stays low, there's going to be no reason to sell. So thank you again so much. I gave you 2 hours. If you want, put in the chat. If you want me to do lives more often, let me know. And I will try to do more lives. But I really, really appreciate you joining me. Thank you so much for helping me reach 80K. I love you guys. Have a great night and happy Thanksgiving.